Today we're talking foldables, in particular foldables that are available globally. Take the Fold 6 for example, peak in terms of processing power but not necessarily in terms of its cameras or charging speeds. There are compromises. The Honor V3 however is looking to buck that trend, and let's cover off a few of those specifications to highlight what we mean. 50 megapixel wide, 50 megapixel telephoto periscope, 40 megapixel ultra wide for the triple cameras on the back, and then internally you get a 20 megapixel on the front, internal screen, 20 megapixel again, so 5 total cameras. And let's quickly touch on charging speeds. You get 66 watt wired, 50 watt wireless. So some of the specs on this are insane, and it does buck the trend of the Fold 6. However, the Magic 6 Pro, we know what it is, but the question is it any good? Let's find out. Let's talk design of the Magic V3 from Honor, and let's talk thinness actually. 9.3 millimeters folded, unfolded 4.4 millimeters. And as an example, that's what it looks like unfolded, and that's what it looks like folded, which is insane. In terms of build though, what I would say is it is built incredibly well. No compromise in here in terms of plastics, excellent build quality, great displays. You get screen protectors externally and internally, and then that camera array on the back that houses that triple camera, again, looks pretty sick. So let's talk screen and displays of the Honor Magic V3. The external screen, 120 Hz LTPO panel, so down from 1 up to 120 Hz, and is an OLED. In terms of the internal screen, again, OLED again, 120 Hz down to a Hz, which is sick. Brightness though, 1600 internal, 2100 external, which is the main difference. What I would say though, with video boost enabled in terms of a sort of streaming content point of view, and generally, these are probably the best screens we've ever used. The refresh rate, the way it manages everything, the way it displays everything has been absolutely incredible. There's been no issues at all. And again, watching content and things like YouTube, etc. has been amazing. There is one really cool feature, which I've got notes that I've got to quickly read out. It's called AID focus. And the idea behind this is it reduces the effects of prolonged staring at a screen up close. And the health benefits of these will actually reduce the effectiveness it has on things like your sleep and strain on your eyes. This is not a gimmick. It actually can be enabled in a setting. It is proven to actually work, which is a really interesting health component that never ever would have thought of, because you've heard of things like blue light and obviously reducing the brightness on your screen, or actually preferably not even using the screen, but having that feature which allows you to scroll in the evenings if you wanted to, but reduces the impact of things like sleep and strain on your eyes, is a massive win. So in terms of using the device, it is butter smooth. It runs absolutely amazingly. And in general, Magic OS on this is excellent, including the apparently copied pill cutout. So that will display things like notifications, or this example, Spotify, that will allow you to interact at a touch. This is obviously not enabled on every single app, but it is on some apps. Then if we move across to a singular AI feature that I think is unique primarily to the Magic V3 and Honor in general, is the ability to hold down long press and then drag your photo or image or whatever it is into any of the apps shown here that allows you to search it, which is actually pretty sick. And you get instantaneous results, which again is amazing. In terms of using the device, using OS, using Magic OS in particular, has actually been super smooth. Whilst we're talking about OS, in terms of software updates, there is no official language around updates in terms of length and how long it'll be supported for. But considering the 12 gig of RAM and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, I would expect between 4 to 5 years as a minimum. 4 is probably going to be the really good point. Anything less than that will be a bit of a kick in the shins. So let's hope that the Magic V3 is supported, especially with the cost of around £1,700, give or take. It is supported longer than 2 to 3 years. We mentioned 5 total cameras earlier. Again, we're going to quickly touch on those. 50 megapixel wide, 50 megapixel periscope telephoto, 40 megapixel ultra wide, that's a triple camera on the rear. On the front, you get a 20 megapixel wide, and on the internal display, you again get a 20 megapixel wide angle lens. Now, it tops out at 4K 60 FPS on the rears, and on those other two internals, you get 4K 30. Performance, let's talk about that. Now, we have enabled scene detection and AI camera. Now, the difference for us is this closely resembles, as much as we can decipher, what Samsung outputs on their S24 Ultra. Very, very similar. So you get slightly oversaturated, over brightened colors, but I think generally speaking, there's so many features in the V3 that make the cameras a really, really high-end performer, unlike things like the Fold 6, which essentially borrows its cameras from the lower end of the S24 range. But generally speaking, performance is excellent in normal light, in low light, in nighttime photos, all are excellent. We've got portrait photos here. There's a ton of samples here to show you what the Magic V3 is capable of in various environments. If we shoot across to video, it doesn't have a dedicated night video mode. So the video you see here in night mode is actually just a normal video shot in the dark essentially, and I actually think it does reasonably well in terms of adjusting to its environment. Generally speaking though, output on the cameras are very, very good. I would say maybe the only critique I would say is if you're, say, a Pixel user and you wanted to migrate across, or even an iPhone user, you may find those colors to be overly saturated and overly bright. For us, we don't mind, we like the richness in color, but for those, maybe turn off the scene detection and the AI focus as well. What are our final conclusion, thoughts, opinions on the Magic V3? What I would say is this review in general as a whole will be incredibly positive to a phone that I think kind of puts Samsung on the back foot. And we're using Samsung as our main example because they're the only other smartphone that does global flagships and hasn't really evolved. It's been minor upgrades pretty much every year, but the price has gone up. So here in the UK, a Fold 6, I believe, is around 18 to 1900 pounds. This comes in at 1699, but you get far better experience. Things like charging speed, 66 watt wired, 50 watt wireless. I would say you definitely get better cameras. And I would also say the screen and the build quality and the feel of the device is definitely better here as well. There's also pen support as well for the Magic V3 if you wanted it. The only negative I would say, and this stands for every foldable, they still sit in that weird area where they're hard to justify because they cost so much more than a traditional flagship. So this at $1,700 is £500 more than the Apple 16 Pro Max, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, or even the S24 Ultra. So it does make it really difficult. I think the biggest problem this particular phone has is actually its own Honor Magic 6 Pro, which is £900, probably has a slightly better camera, but then this costs £700 more than that, which is difficult to justify. Also, depreciation of the Honor V3 and foldables in general is pretty rough. So this will probably be worth less than half in about 9 to 12 months time. So factor that in. Overall though, if you're in the market for a foldable, you live in the UK, or you're able to access an Honor V3, I would 100% recommend it. And that's a review of the Honor V3. Thank you so much for watching. Till the next one, as always, we out.